Today's show is brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering our listeners a free audiobook with a 30-day trial membership. Just go to audibletrial.com/thewafflepress and browse unmatched selection of audio programs. Download the title free and start listening. It's that easy. Go to audibletrial.com/thewafflepress. We're good. We're here. Hangouts are live. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Waffle Press podcast. I'm your host, Diego Crespo. We're here to talk about the movies of June 2018. We're doing it in the middle of the month because we can't be tamed, and because honestly, there are a lot of bad movies out there right now.
They're not all bad.
They're not all bad, no. And you know what? Film is subjective, and that's why we do these podcasts to talk about our differing opinions and tastes, and to check out anything that's out there, regardless of whether or not we think it's good or bad. Determining whether a movie is good or bad is boring. Talking with friends is always fun. So it's been a while, so I'm going to introduce Nick Valero first. Hello, my friend.
Hey, how's it going?
How are
guys?
you?
I know, it feels good to be back. Feels good.
Yeah. We're glad you're here. Gina Versa is also here.
Hey, how you doing? Good to also be back.
Yes, we're alive and well. Even if the planet's dying and our president is still an idiot. People are debating the merits of whether or not concentration camps are concentration camps. They are, by the way. Anyone who doesn't think so, meet me in downtown LA Wednesday afternoon. I'll beat your ass. That's the challenge. But whatever. Let's move on to fun things. Nick, what's new with you? Anything you want to plug? Let's do plugs up top.
Me and Gene just did our brand new podcast. We did a pilot for it pretty recently. It's all about comic books and how nerdy they are and how much we love just in general the industry itself. Go check out Serving Up Some Comics.
Check it out. Check out Serving Up Comics when that's out. I watched the episode. It's a good one. We're going to see if we can do it monthly. I would very much like to see these guys talk comics, because as someone who's fallen off of comics because I am not in love with the industry. I love comics. I'd like to hear more of what to put on my pull list once I get back into that. Gene, what's new? Tell me about your life.
Just finishing the short film. We're putting visual effects in the... we're replacing some shots with plates of visual effects, so hopefully it's done fairly soon.
Can I see it?
Yeah.
Wait, I did see it, huh? Oh,
yeah,
shit.
You did see it. Yeah.
I'm sorry. This month has been bad for my brain. It's not you or the film. It is me, because I genuinely forgot some other movies we're about to talk about. So Gene and I did not get to talk about this movie at the end of May, so we're just going to lead off with this, and then we'll hop around and talk about some movies that have come out in May, like Shaft, Men in Black, Dead Don't Die, Always Be My Maybe, Child's Play, Toy Story 3, and, of course, Dark Phoenix, which Gene and Nick also talked about. Another reason to go check out Serving Up Comics. But we're going to talk about all spoilers about the X-Men nonsense. But Godzilla, King of the Monsters, Gene, May 31st, on the ass end of May, at the ass end of the summer box office even, at least in America, because it's not doing good here at all. We have been on opposite ends of the MonsterVerse in a healthy manner, in terms of whether we preferred Godzilla or King Kong. But you and I finally found common ground with this movie, because it's one of those movies where we both walked out being like, what was everyone talking about? I loved that. What were your thoughts on this Kaiju Smackdown movie?
I felt that it was one of my favorite Godzilla films. It really delivered what I wanted to see. And I felt like it wasn't where it was trying to be the opposite of the Gareth Edwards Godzilla. It wasn't like, let's just do the opposite of that. It really felt organic to the story that they came up with. How many monsters they had on screen, the way they utilized the monsters. They almost had character arcs, and I was really, really happy with it. And I felt Mike Dougherty? If that's right? Dougherty, excuse me. He really gets the monsters, and the way he uses them is just really incredible in the film. I just loved how he has Godzilla as just this lazy old like lizard that doesn't want to get up or do anything, just wants to sleep all day.
It's
And
it's the millennial Godzilla. We relate to that exhaustion.
yeah, exactly. And Mothra's great in it too. She's Godzilla's girlfriend, I guess, right?
It's up in the air whether or not it's
Right.
platonic, but it's a symbiotic relationship, and
Yeah,
I like that was up to interpretation. That was very interesting to me.
yeah, of course. I would ship it. So just me, but
I respect that.
yeah, and I felt that I really disagreed that the human characters were like bland or boring. I felt Millie Bobby Brown did a really great job, and to say she's just doing 11 was a little. I felt like that criticism's really mean spirited to her, especially. I mean, a young child actor. I thought she did a wonderful job, and yeah, I was really impressed by the movie.
Yeah, I'm gonna toss it over to Nick in a second, but I just want to call out that criticism specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because is it just because she's playing another young girl because she happens to be a young actress? Like that one makes no sense to me. But whatever. Nick, did you see Godzilla King of the Monsters?
Yeah, you know what? And I thought it was so funny because people were complaining in the last Godzilla that there wasn't enough Godzilla and there was way too much people. Then people complained about there was way too much Godzilla and not enough people in King of the Monsters. I thought there was a fair balance. I didn't think like one overshadowed the other or anything like that. And I thought that the fights had some gravitas to them. They actually had some stakes. What was it, more than like the Gareth Edwards one? And yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. I would definitely recommend you watching it.
I was livid that they took out King of the Monsters after 1 week in IMAX.
Oh, that was inexcusable, I felt.
Yeah, because opening weekend, I saw that in the theater, and I was like, this... I was worried going in. I was starting to get a little concerned, but then I saw it, and I was like, I love this. What people feel about BVS, a movie I'm generally kind of fascinated by, like, but the big fans of BVS are like, this is some unsung masterpiece of blah, 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 right? Like, I can see where they're coming from now. Like, I get it, because King of the Monsters is totally my BVS.
Is it your BVS?
Oh, dude, I think it's the most fascinating blockbuster, like, of the year. Like, the themes about, like, nature and humanity and the elements having to, like, come together to better not just one side, but each other, and, like, what it's like to deal with an invasive species, and how it uses the military not to like make Godzilla like a member of the U.S. Army, but because that's like all America knows how to do is blow stuff up. So by the end, it's like, well, we can help Godzilla blow this thing up because that's kind of all we know what to do, and we fucked up too. Like, I don't know. I was fascinated by this movie, and I had the time of my life, and the kaiju smackdowns were just like, for lack of a better phrase, the sickest shit. I loved this movie. I saw it twice. I loved it so much. But it is a little long. I think if I have like one major criticism, both times I saw it, I was like, oof, that wasn't even as long as like Endgame, but I was like, man, that was a little over 2 hours, and I'm a little sleepy. That was because it's kind of a lot to process, like, visually at times.
Yeah, but not only that, but also I do feel like the movie at certain points is exhausting. Like, there's just so much going on the screen that, like, I think you just get exhausted from watching the entire thing.
Yeah,
I would agree.
I mean, part of me is glad that they did that, because it kind of reminded me of Aquaman in a weird way, where it's just like, it's so much movie to process, just like in the theater. I'm glad. I prefer this to a bunch of other movies we're going to talk about, where I'm like, why did you even bother like finishing this? This felt like a movie experience. Like, I'm glad I saw this in the theater twice, especially.
Yeah, and in IMAX.
Yeah, man, my skin was like tearing off from the sound system, like in my seat, and my hair's blowing back, and I was like, this is it, man. This is my shit right here. It's not my favorite of the year, I don't think, but I loved it so much. I had a blast, and
yeah, it's just a fun movie. Like, you're gonna enjoy yourself watching it, right?
Yeah, there are a lot of valid criticisms. I would say, I'm sure. I'm not in a place to like discuss them in a manner that would be productive, because I just don't think I'm ready to engage with that, because I'm just like in my own little bubble right now. But I'm interested to read more into them going forward because I want to understand, basically. I want to be part of that conversation. But we got to move on. I could talk about Godzilla forever. I'll probably write something for the Patreon or whatever down the line because holy shit, this movie. Anybody see Shaft?
No.
I really want to go see Shaft because I love Shaft.
All right, look.
Did you see Shaft or Shaft's son?
Shaft's son. Richard Roundtree remains just the coolest guy. Samuel L. Jackson is smooth as hell. Jesse T. Usher is actually a pretty good actor. Shaft is like the worst movie of the year. And
oh my gosh.
It's a movie made for cops and for people that are like, actually, the police help people. All lives matter, man. It makes Shaft a drunk uncle who...
Wait, which Shaft?
All of them.
All of them?
All of them. It makes them just like, grumpy old men who like hate millennials because people drink almond milk sometimes or some shit.
Avocado toast.
It's homophobic. It's Islamophobic. It was grueling and painful, and I hated it. I hated it so much.
It's not even like Bad Boys 2 enjoyable?
No, Bad Boys 2 is art, Nicholas. You and I both know this. No. The thing about like Bad Boys 2 is that like the filmmaking is so insane that at least it's like, wow, you're into it, With Shaft, it's a Tim Story movie. I didn't know that like until the day of, and Tim Story is a hack.
Yeah.
So it's I can't imagine anybody getting anything out of this. If you do, more power to you. But I was very disappointed because I was really looking forward to that.
I did think it was really funny because I remember when me and Gene were talking to the guys who made Plane versus Volcano.
Airplane versus Volcano.
Yeah, Airplane versus Volcano. Yeah. They were talking about how Lawrence Jacobs would be, which he's always talking about Shaft.
Oh, so I remember that.
That's always really funny.
Like, motherfucker, I could have been Shaft.
Just watch all the other 4 Shafts.
Is there 4?
There's 4. There's the original trilogy Shaft, Shaft's Big Score, which is a fun little crime caper, and then Shaft in Africa, which is less good, but it's
entertaining.
It's entertaining, and it's Shaft taking down a slave trade ring in Europe and Africa, and that's like perfect. And then, of course, the late great John Singleton Shaft from the 2000s with Samuel L. Jackson
and Christian Bale
and Jeffrey Wright. Killer cast. You do yourself a disservice not to watch that movie.
I mean, that's the entire reason I wanted to watch this one. I was like, about time they made a sequel to that movie. That movie's awesome. I love that movie.
No, it's just enjoy that one again. It's not like the greatest thing ever, but that's a solid ass little action movie.
It is. And
that's a good one.
I do like the idea of Shaft. The reason why I think that movie is so good is because Shaft is very much a character in this world, and then you're following him start a case. You see him start a case all the way to the end of it, and I think it's really cool. I really like it.
Yeah, it's just enjoy that again. This one broke my soul. Like I could live with not liking some of the other movies that I don't want to get into right now that are generally more like popular and beloved that came out this year. Yeah. It really broke my heart that I didn't love Shaft, but
right, and it was exciting to see Richard Roundtree back. I mean, he still does a lot of acting in like the roles he was in Brick.
You know what? He's good. He's good, man. He deserved better. I hope. Well, no, this is totally going to be the last Shaft in his lifetime, which is too bad. But
that is too bad. That is too bad.
All right. Well, moving on. Nick, what have you seen lately? Let's hop around this way.
I went to go see Child's Play.
What did you think of it?
And I fucking loved it.
Jesus.
I freaking loved the entire thing. My new ringtone is the Buddy song.
Is it really?
It actually is.
My gosh.
After the movie, I found it, I downloaded it, and I put it as my ringtone. It's fucking amazing. But no, I really do like the new framing of Chucky. I do like his redesign. I actually like the new like robotic Chucky. I like the fact that they took the basic concept of what Chucky of the Child's Play movies were, and then went, well, voodoo's stupid. Like like the entire plot of like, oh yeah, this is all because of voodoo is very dumb, and it's let's bring this into our generation. How the heck can we do that? Oh, let's make it, a tech, like let's make it techy. Let's make it techie. Let's make it that he's an actual robot and all of his safety protocols have been taken off. And you're basically teaching an AI, and the AI doesn't know any better. It legitimately doesn't know that what it's doing is wrong, and all it's trying to do is make you happy. And it doesn't understand why murdering all these people that are hurting you is just the wrong thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved it. I loved the idea of it. It made me feel at times. It made me fucking really wish that people would die, and I enjoyed the whole movie.
What you described is exactly what I was drawn to with the movie, because I have no knowledge of this, but I've been saying for like months now that I'm convinced this premise was like a spec script or something like that, that someone couldn't sell, and a producer on the Child's Play reboot was like, hey, let's take these ideas and add them to our Child's Play reboot that we're doing outside of the Mancini universe.
Yeah.
And I don't think they ever come together, because when it has to be a Child's Play movie is when it's like the least interesting thing to me. I like all the ideas. I think they're executed very poorly.
Really?
And I think the filmmaking's actually just like non-existent in this movie.
Really?
I was very disappointed, but I don't want to rail on too negative. Gene, you also like this movie, right?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty decent for the remake that was already satisfied with the Cult of Chucky and
Cult of Chucky.
No, Cult of Chucky is a masterpiece.
No, it's
I
not.
like Cult of Chucky. Okay, well, the last couple Chucky movies, but
garbage.
No, holy shit, dude, no way.
No.
No, Gene, go ahead.
So yeah, it felt like it at least constituted a remake of Child's Play. Like it did something different where it didn't feel like I was watching the exact same movie. I really appreciated that, and like I liked Mark Hamill as the Chucky voice. He did a really good job, and I don't know. It was cool to see it do different elements of like a living doll. I don't think it was like the greatest movie ever, but I mean, I wasn't bored. I wasn't. I didn't hate it. Like I felt I was bored watching the Men in Black remake.
Well, we can get into that one next. We can definitely get into that one next because holy shit.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that movie was boring.
Yeah. But for Child's Play, I don't know, man. I started hearing really good buzz about this as it was coming out, and I was like, oh, you know what? Maybe they can both exist side by side. The Don Mancini franchise that he started back in '88 with the great director Tom Holland, and then this one. And then I was just like, oh man, why did you forget how to make movies, guys? Like that's the big question. I'm coming away from the theater a lot this summer. I'm like, did everyone just like forget? Like, did they just stop making movies? I don't know. But again, the ideas in this are interesting. If it makes money and they do a sequel, I'd like to see another director come in, because I'm even willing to like contend that the writing isn't the problem. It's not good, but it's like, you don't need a great script to make a movie. You should have one. I'm not condoning you don't have one. But like all aspects of a movie need to come together like properly to make it work.
I don't see it as like this utter failure that it kind of sounds like. I really do think that there are certain aspects of it that do come together really nicely. I love the idea of I like the idea of the kid is more than a one-dimensional character that is just kind of getting blamed for Chucky's murders. I do like the idea of the kid growing fond of Chucky and kind of growing a kinship, because that kind of makes sense why he starts covering for Chucky. He's trying to, anything that Chucky, in the very beginning when Chucky starts kind of going insane, he starts kind of protecting Chucky because the kid doesn't have friends, and Chucky's kind of like the one person that's been around for him and stuff like that. And I think it does do really nice things. It really does not make the characters kind of feel like they're idiots, and I do like that.
Yeah, you know what? Walking away from it, that the character is not idiots, but this is the lowest possible bar because again, I like even the structure of the movie, but there's a problem with how they incorporate the AI stuff. I love the idea of hey, this corporation runs everything. There's a bug in our Chucky doll. Oh, you mean one organization controlling everything is actually a bad idea? That's totally my shit. I should love this movie.
But then they didn't really do anything with the corporation owner. It was just
I mean, I don't.
No,
it just came out, so no spoilers. But the linchpin of the plot that kicks everything off broke the movie for me. I don't want to say what it is because I want people to experience it for themselves. It's not even some shocking thing. I'm just curious why other people aren't bringing this up more often.
The start of the movie, right? The very beginning?
Yeah, that breaks the movie. And it's what it's trying to say about these ideas for me. I mean, I don't think the film is very strong in exploring any of them anyways. But that one, there was no coming back. I was like, oh shit, no.
Yeah.
Oh no. And that's what really bummed me out.
Well, I don't know
that it could never come back for me.
From somebody who's used to work in that industry and kind of work with things like that is a real fucking problem. That honestly is a real problem. And
no, I'm not saying the problems that we see are not there. I'm saying what the film frames as the ultimate cause of the problem. It does not. It doesn't say it's a system of things. It says, well, it's one person, and that is wrong.
But the thing is that it didn't even. But the thing is that even that one event doesn't necessarily send Chucky on a murdering spree. Because I mean, technically, Chucky is fine. The movie takes at least a third. The first death in the movie doesn't happen for at least a good 30, 45 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, I'm cool with all that, but that opens the door for the plot to kick in, and that being the thing that unlocks it, as it does point the finger at that. You see what I mean?
Yeah, but I do like the idea of Chucky very much learning. He learned to be a murderer from because he was just trying to make people happy, and he's very confused because he doesn't understand. It's kind of like if all you show is murder, and and you're showing how much you love it and how much it's entertaining to you. He doesn't understand that that's a movie. That what I'm watching is a movie. It's not anything else. And if you just kind of go that binary route of A is A and B is B, he automatically is putting together murder is good. You guys like it. I'll start murdering people and you guys will like it. And then as he's trying to do that, it's very much a story of betrayal. He's a tragic character, and I like it.
I again totally cool with all of that. The way it plays out in the movie, it would never click for me after the way it plays out. And which again, I'm upset, but I'm actually really disappointed because this is a killer idea, and I love creepy dolls. But killer idea. Thank you. I was worried you wouldn't catch it.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, I'm bummed. Hit me up when the Cult of Chucky sequel comes out. But let's move on to Men in Black International.
Well, they're not going to make the Cult of Chucky sequel. They're going to do a TV show,
which is awesome. I don't even know what that's even going to look like, but I can't wait. But Men in Black. Nick, did you watch this?
Oof.
I refused to because
why?
Because I love 3 so much, and I want to I just kind of want to leave it there.
Okay.
I don't want to taint it. It's kind of like after you watch, The Last Crusade, and then somebody goes, "Oh yeah, but there's one more," and then you're like, "What is there?"
No, there is. No, I think nerd culture in general has to leave that thing behind. We're like, oh, that doesn't exist. It exists. You don't have to like it. I might not be particularly fond, but someone else out there might be.
You know what? I
Yeah.
think that the duo of Chris Hemsworth and
Tessa Thompson.
yeah, Tessa Thompson it's a good one, but I think you need a director behind them that knows what they're doing with these characters and these actors.
Tessa Thompson and Chris Hemsworth are innocent, and you know what? I'm even willing to say F. Gary Gray is innocent because this didn't color the movie for me because this came out after I saw it.
Yeah.
The stories about the producers and how they basically butchered their own project.
Mm-hmm.
No one was going to make anything of note with this.
Right. Because it was originally supposed to be about like immigration.
Yeah,
right?
which is like a perfect idea for a Men in Black movie. And then you get this dynamic duo from Thor Ragnarok, and you come out with a movie that's basically not a movie.
Yeah, it's just things are happening, like profound things are supposed to occur.
I don't really care about spoilers for this one because I don't think anyone else on the planet does. So like I'm just gonna say like the opening is just batshit like insane to me how they structured this. It was like, oh, flashback to 6 years ago.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Flashback 20 years ago, and I'm what?
It was like flashback 5 years ago, and then they put the flashback to 20 years ago after that. So it's like wouldn't the 20-year make sense to like
before the 5?
Yeah, before 5.
Yeah, and you know what? It's not like they're making fucking Batman Begins where the flashbacks are like thematically tied to the characters' like narrative or journeys. It's just kind of happening, and stuff like that keeps happening in the movie. And I was shocked. I was shocked that they filmed what felt like a first draft, and turns out it wasn't. It was just like a bunch of butchered drafts.
Yeah. It was a frustrating watch. Like
but that goes to show you on sometimes the studio fucks itself.
Oh no, the studios keep fucking themselves if this summer's any indication.
It's true.
But I think the point of like no return for me for this one was they're fighting like these shape-shifting dancing aliens in the street.
Oh god, yeah,
and they're just like gyrating towards them, and I got like Suicide Squad flashbacks. Because like that's the entire fight.
Enchantress?
Yeah, they were that was the fight. Two shape-shifting aliens on one side, Tessa Thompson, Chris Hemsworth on the other, behind their car, and then they shoot, and they realize their shooting's not working, so they pull out bigger guns to keep shooting at the dudes that are gyrating towards them. And that was the action scene, and I was like, what? Who allowed this? Why would you put them through this?
Well, it definitely does explain why Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith didn't come back.
Oh, you know what? Fun fact. I actually saw Men in Black 3 for the first time recently before this.
Oh. Isn't it amazing?
It's cute. It's cute. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but it's a very good ending. I liked it. It
justifies itself as a movie.
It touches me. It touches me in a very
It's got a lot of heart. It's got a lot of heart. I don't think it all works, but it's got a lot of heart, and that goes a long way for me.
I agree.
Sure. Yeah. Shout out to Luke Cage, who is also in that movie.
Yeah. He's Will Smith's dad.
No, he's his dad.
Yeah.
Luke Cage is Will Smith's dad.
Yeah.
Like 3.
Yeah. That's it's a cute movie. It's got issues, but it's the Sistine Chapel compared to this summer. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Toy Story 3. Nobody else saw Toy Story 3 here, correct?
Toy Story 4?
4. Thank you.
Yeah, Toy Story 4.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, Toy Story 3 is great. Yeah. I guess the tidbit on Toy Story 4 is that fuck Pixar for making a good-ass movie that makes me recommend it to people because they haven't been this good in a long time. Apart from Coco. Coco is, of course, fantastic, or you're a racist. Just kidding. But Toy Story 4 is so good, and not only justifies its own existence. I think, and it's not an essential part of like the trilogy narrative of Toy Story 1, 2, 3. It's what comes after. I think right now, where we are like in life, not just like as a society, I guess, because we're like crumbling, but like for the people that grew up with Toy Story 1, 2, 3, I think you kind of ask yourself like, what? Okay, I did all this with my life, and I'm doing these things. What comes next? It's why are we here? It's the why are we here question.
Yeah.
Times like 10, with the greatest cinematic creation of the millennial era in Forky. Tony Hale should be nominated for a Best Supporting Actor award because he is delightful. And Toy Story 4 is basically just asking that. What comes after? What are we doing with our lives? And is like, just because one part of our life is over, does that mean like that's it? Are we content to do that? Is it okay to be content to do that? Or is there something else that's going to require some change? And I was in shock.
Is that good?
Yeah.
How was Key and Peele's characters?
Not obnoxious, which is what I was concerned about. Not even them. I'm not even saying them because I'm a huge fan of both of them. I should clarify that because I loved their sketch comedy. I love Jordan Peele, and I loved Keegan-Michael Key in the severely underappreciated Shane Black Predator. But the trailers made them look obnoxious to me, and I was like, oh no, they're just making this thing. They're milking this franchise, and now I'm coming out of the gate being like, well, top 10 movies of the year right there.
Yeah, because I felt like they were just doing a Key and Peele sketch, and all the scenes they showed of those two characters.
That's what I kind of felt. I kind of felt like they had just gotten a Key and Peele sketch and then animated around it. For a lot of it.
I think that was totally the intent. And it should also be noted going in that a lot of main characters from previous films really are kind of just supporting characters. This is definitely about Woody first and foremost, and Forky.
Is it Woody? What about Buzz? Does Buzz show up a lot?
But Buzz doesn't really have a lot to do. He has a narrative to follow, and he does have like a part to play, but it is not his story. I think there's an interesting like dynamic you could draw between his arc through the series and Forky's arc in this, and like their self-actualization as toys. And that's really all the film needs. Like, I'm very impressed with the creative team, writing and artistically, how they came up with these characters like journeys in this film. I'm very, very impressed, and I was not really hoping like to even see this in opening weekend. I was like, I probably should because we're going to do the episode, and I'm so happy because there's a good movie in theaters right now.
Well, I mean, that was my one thing is that I whenever somebody says that trilogies are never good and stuff like that, I always refer to Toy Story as like the like a trilogy that just nonstop does really well, and I'm really happy to hear that the fourth one didn't kind of disappoint on that on that gauge.
Yeah, no, you don't. Like, everyone always says, like, well, do you need this movie to exist? And then someone will also say the answer, like, oh, well, no movie needs to exist. And it's like, shut the fuck up. Like, movies are going to pop up whether you like them or not. It exists. It doesn't need our validation. It could have been terrible. It wasn't. And, yeah, I don't have the answers, but Toy Story 4 does. I'll put it that way.
No, I can't wait because I'm gonna go see it tonight, and I was really looking forward to it. So,
now, you will hurt after.
Am I gonna cry like I did in Toy Story 3?
Different crying, and I wasn't. Toy Story 3 made me a wreck. This one made me like inspired, if that makes sense. Right. This one, it's a different kind of emotion. You'll be sharing a lot of, I'll say.
Okay.
Could you see a Toy Story 5 from this?
You know what? Yeah. Yes. I still wouldn't like. I would still be basically as sensitive as I was about Toy Story 4. I'd be like, look, motherfuckers, you tempted fate not once but 4 times. You're betting. You're betting against the odds here. But I think they could do it. If this is how good a 4th one could be.
What about if the 5th one was like a Buzz's story? Like Buzz trying to find like his place in the universe?
I guess. I don't know if that's the direction. That direction would make sense.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'll say. It's not impossible, clearly. I believe in the Toy Story sequels now. Like people believed in Harvey Dent. I believe in the Toy Story sequels. Hope it works out better for me. We got to move on. Anybody see Too Old to Die Young or Jessica Jones? Then we'll get into the main conversation.
Yeah, I started watching Too Old to Die Young. It's a very dense, long show, so like I'm still just starting on like the first couple episodes.
This is what I've heard. If you're not a Nicholas Winding Refn fan, basically just don't.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't bother.
Yes.
Is that would you? Okay.
Yeah, I would say so. Like I'm a big Nicholas Winding Refn fan, so I'm really enjoying myself. But yeah, I'm like, oh man, other people must be having a bad time, but not me.
Yeah. Well, Amazon didn't even have it like on their original series page.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah. Amazon puts their new shit up front. They don't like promote it like Netflix on Twitter or anything like that, but they're not known for that. So
they do a lot better at promoting their own original content than Netflix. Like, here you go.
So maybe they had some buyer's remorse or something like that. But I don't know what you expected. But, like, have you seen this guy's movies?
Yeah, I mean, for a show like that, I mean, you might as well just go wild with it because you have a scene where Hideo Kojima cameos and slices the guy's arm off.
Yeah, what? He's in it?
Yeah, he's in a cameo for like one scene.
Kojima shows up and chops a dude's arm off?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's
know what? That sounds
wild show.
Right. That sounds about right.
It's a wild show where people talk.
So, I wasn't interested. Now I am.
There you go.
If you liked Drive and Only God Forgives, you might like it. I don't know if you'll be able to sit through it because I know your taste.
Yeah, I didn't really like which Only God Forgives. I did like Drive. I don't like.
Okay. Or did you see the Neon Demon?
I did, and I actually did like that.
So. Okay, so
yeah, it's 50, more like Neon 50,
Demon. 50 on you.
Yeah, it's a hit or miss. Either I really like his stuff or I fucking hate it.
Okay, yeah.
There's no in between.
No in between. Yeah. That's why he's one of my favorites. You never know.
No, man, I've been catching up on Killing Eve, man. Killing Eve, that's it.
I gotta watch that because I've heard such good things. Jessica Jones season 3. I don't want to spend too much time on this because I do want to say a lot about the X-Men movies really quick, or I guess for like the rest of the show.
Yeah.
I saw the first episode of the season and I really liked it. I'm not a huge defender of season 2, but I think that season has a lot of interesting stuff that really worked. More often than it didn't, even if it ends up not really coming together. The Marvel Netflix shows are very also hit and miss, like Nicholas Winding Refn in drastically different ways, of course. Daredevil season 3 is still like my new religion. I couldn't believe how good that season was. And I'm ultimately still sad to see them go. I've heard that season 3 of Jessica Jones is a fitting farewell. Have either of you started or intend to watch Jessica Jones?
I started watching Jessica Jones, but honestly, I didn't even realize it because I remember when I was watching before they were canceled, and I felt like I was more invested. And what was it when you put it in the notes of why we should still watch it even though it got canceled? I noticed, holy shit, I am doing that. I am very much kind of like it's there, like. I'll watch it when I get some time. It's not on the top of my things to watch or anything like that. Like, I saw the first episode. I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah, I just heard that another criticism I kind of want to take to task here is that people have said, like, well, it's canceled, so I don't really care about watching them anymore.
Yeah.
Like, whether or not you like them, it's totally up to you. Who gives a shit,
Yeah.
Like what you want to like. Don't try not to get invested like in other people's opinions. I'm not saying you did that, Nick. I'm just saying like I could see how it's easy to kind of get swayed by that. Like, well, it's not really connected to anything else, so why bother? And I totally get. I mean, there's so many. Firefly is one of the most popular shows ever, and that got canceled after one season. It had a longer life afterwards. Star Trek is an empire, and it got canceled in the 60s. It got canceled, and it basically like single-handedly invented fandom as we know it today. It's crazy. So that's all I wanted to say about that. Just like I think that's a little silly. If you're interested in something, check it out regardless. I will still continue with Jessica Jones, and I'll still be rewatching season 3 to discover how they wrote that season of television so effortlessly and perfectly. Because if you want to know how to write for TV, I think everyone should watch Daredevil season 3. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it was
But that's it. But on that note of why it's not fair to ignore things just because they're canceled, let's talk about X-Men: Dark Phoenix.
Hey, there you go.
You and Gene talked about it a little bit on your episode.
Yes, we did.
Yes.
Not fans, to say the least.
No, not particularly. No.
Of the X-Men universe, or are we talking about Dark Phoenix?
Dark Phoenix. Let's start with Dark Phoenix first, and then we'll start wrapping up with our thoughts on the rest of the X-Men movies, and we'll choose our top 3.
Okay. I was not a fan of this new movie. I feel like things are just kind of happening.
Mm-hmm.
Like there is no stakes. I feel like everybody is just dumb. You know, Charles Xavier is just kind of. He's not like he's always supposed to be this like wise mentor that's teaching the group, and I do feel like he's more reacting than actually leading the team or doing anything like that. And I don't know. I just thought characters were acting really really dumb, and there were certain characters that were put into it that just didn't matter like at all. What's it called? What's her name? Jesus Christ!
One of Magneto's little henchmen, right?
Yeah.
She got like he kept turning to her, and like they had like some established camaraderie or something, and it was like, I don't know her. I don't know half of these people.
Like they kept on pointing to people, and it was like, okay, do we know them? Did I forget? Like what's going on? And you're kind of going like, all right, I'm just gonna kind of roll with it, and then never like just kind of going like, oh, I guess somebody will like explain it. Of going like, so and so is this person, and they've been with me for. This or anything like that. But I mean, it just didn't make any sense. It was kind of like, all right, whatever.
Right.
You know what? This might be a hot take. Out of the mainline X-Men franchise, with the exception of like First Class and maybe the first X-Men, not in terms of quality, but I think they all have that problem. Not like Logan or even the Wolverine or even the Deadpool movies to an extent. I think every X-Men movie that was written or directed by people like Simon Kinberg, Bryan Singer, unfortunately. They all have had these problems to me. So, like, let me say, I didn't hate this movie. I don't think it was good. But, like, I've seen people say, like, this is the worst of the series. I'm like, yo, slow down. You can't say things like that. And not, like...
Wolverine Origins.
Yeah, Wolverine Origins is one of the worst like movies I've ever sat through. Like, period.
The only thing that's kind of cool is Lumberjack Logan, but that's about it.
Yeah, like look, that's one of those movies that's like also, hey, this is awesome. We're exploring the past of Wolverine and jumping through time. That should be the coolest shit ever. And there is this cool structure to the Wolverine trilogy where each one dictates his past, his present, and his future. Yeah. That's a very neat structure. It's too bad like one of those movies is awful. And Dark Phoenix though, I didn't despise it, and I was expecting to. Not that I wanted to, but was just like, cards are on the table at that point. We're like, yeah, this is not gonna go well. The writing was on the wall, whatever metaphor you want to use. Simon Kinberg's not the most visually interesting director, like at all. Sophie Turner is really good, almost. It's not her fault. It's no one in the cast's fault. Jennifer Lawrence hasn't wanted to be there for like 3 movies. James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender still killing it regardless. The other cast members are fine, and it's not. I will not say it's their fault ever in these movies because everyone who's in an X-Men movie has been really good in something else.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's like a historical precedent at this point.
But the only thing is that for this one in particular, I do feel that whoever made this movie was either trying to retcon or in general just did not give a shit about the last movie. There was no cohesion of the story of Apocalypse. There is no like, oh yeah, this is the aftermath of whatever kind of ramifications would have happened after the end of Apocalypse. You don't see it. They're it's very much like they're just kind of going like, yeah, that's a thing that happened. I mean, we got new characters, but I mean, it kind of like Magneto destroys Auschwitz and he basically is a terrorist and they give him a country.
Magneto killed like millions of people.
Yeah, and we gave him a country, just to kind of run. Like the U.S. government was just like, you know what, you're a terrorist. Let's give you a country.
Yeah, no, Apocalypse.
Which is
I was talking to Jim about this, I think, recently, where we were like, "Hey, Apocalypse was like really bad. I think we were all too nice to that movie."
I felt Apocalypse was unwatchable.
It is.
Dark Phoenix is just boring.
Yeah, Dark Phoenix is pretty dull.
Yeah,
I will say, because there's enough negative out there about this movie. Most of it, not only do I agree with, I think is completely justified. You guys brought up good points in your discussion too, so I don't want to just reiterate those. But I'll lean more positive, even though I'm not recommending this movie in any way. I'm actually kind of sad that it ended on such a poor note for the longest running superhero franchise. Not that I was even ever in love with it, but some positives. This actually convinced me that Dark Phoenix could work as one movie, with an addendum to that statement. You have to establish the characters that go through these journeys. You can't just send them on these journeys without having us be invested in characters like Jean Grey. And I think that's the ultimate flaw of this series, is that every single movie stands on its own to their own detriment, where it's like, well, now Logan's the main character, even though Rogue was kind of the main character in the first movie. And then no, Wolverine, everyone loves Wolverine, so it's Wolverine all the time. And then First Class, okay, we're starting up this new school. Days of Future Past. Well, actually, this entire supporting cast is all dead. And we're bringing back the old cast from the old movies. Oh, Apocalypse, we're starting with the new cast, like we wanted to the whole time. And then the next movie, oh, actually, everyone hates each other, and Jean Grey is actually crazy. And it's just like, what? There's no franchise work through any of this movie, or any of these movies. And
well, to be totally honest, I think I really do think that the X-Men would do better as a TV show. Honestly, I do think that the X-Men and everything that they're going through and everything like that. I mean, have either of you watched Gifted?
I have not, but I completely agree with that. X-Men, it's not that they're not made for the big screen. I think they are, but until proven otherwise, please make them a TV show, because that's where they belong.
No, because in Gifted, it's all about. I love the idea of the reason why we're using our D-list superheroes. I mean, our mutants. We're not using Professor Xavier. We're not doing anything like that. Is because they keep referring to the incident, the same incident that which killed all of the X-Men off. And right now they're just trying to work for mutant liberation. They're trying to do all these other things. They're trying to run from from the Trask industry. It's really interesting. But you get to you have the Hellfire Club. You have all these other things, but you have a lot of character building. You have a lot of just elements that are going into it. People discovering that they have powers and everything else, and it's really good. It's a really good show.
Whoa, Nick. Do you mean to tell me that they're actually telling on television an X-Men story that is politically motivated?
Yes.
Like the X-Men were made to be?
Yes. Yes.
It's insanity.
It's all about how the government is discriminating against mutants, and they're fighting and and they basically have an underground railroad for mutants to make it to other countries, to Canada or Mexico.
See, that's the shit I want to see, which I'm not holding my breath for in the MCU when they get rebooted. I'm not too worried about them getting the character dynamics right. We all know that they're very good at that. That's why people love those movies so much. I really want them to not forget that, hey, the X-Men are not just a society of outcasts. That's certainly part of it. It's that they are discriminated against. That needs to be a main point in the series. And I think at some points in the X-Men movies it was, and then other times it's just forgotten about. It's a very weird franchise looking back at it.
Yeah, but not only that, but also I mean, if you're gonna have these epic storytelling, I think Dark Phoenix would be a great season of television. like the entire Dark Phoenix like storyline. Like you can have an entire like season and a half of like just telling the Dark Phoenix story, and it would be an epic thing of television. You know, you can have all of these storylines and you can give it justice and everything else. And I really don't want to see them back in the movies. I would really prefer to continue seeing them in television. And just kind of seeing where that goes. Because, I mean, Gifted is shown, you can make a good X-Men TV show. You can make a good X-Men property live action and still give all of the characters their time, their moments. I mean, they have an entire Hellfire Club, like, as their villains. Like, they have the Hellfire Club, and it's fucking awesome.
And, yeah, because we don't need, like, these huge world-ending events all the time also, you know? Like, the third act reshoots that were set on the train, like that's a boring setting.
Yeah,
but there were some moments where I was like, hey, the action in this that was clearly shot by someone who wasn't Simon Kinberg, pretty kind of inventive. Like there's that bit where Magneto, it's just like a 30-second thing where he's sliding on the floor, shooting and tying pieces of metal into people and stuff like that. And I was like, hey, why is this like the most exciting part of this movie?
Right, and I was telling
where did that come from?
Yeah, I was telling Nick in regards to the well, we kind of said this on our podcast, but in regards to the powers, like everyone uses their powers so boring in the movies, where it's just like Magneto push it, like he has his hands forward and he's moving stuff, or he's like pushing things, or it's just like people like, I don't know, like when you were a kid, you just like point your hand to like do something. That's your power.
At no point does anybody use their powers in Dark Phoenix for something inventive, something that is clever, or you know, like, oh yeah, we outwitted the bad guy because we used a combination of our powers in order to get to this result. You know, we just kind of kept pushing shit until eventually the end happened.
You know, honestly, this is becoming a big problem with me in a lot of superhero movies. Many of the ones that have come out recently are much better than this, I should also note. I just want to say that it is a problem I'm having, and maybe it's because I rewatched the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy recently, but I was like, the action in those movies are just like impeccable. Like every time Spider-Man's swinging around to fight someone, it's like it's doing some new and inventive way of doing it. He's not just like throwing a punch. He's like the action evolves so beautifully across those three movies on drastically different set pieces. And how many of the X-Men movies are basically just a bunch of people on a flat piece of land or in like a hallway, like tossing stuff at each other or something, you know? Like it's ridiculous. It's the X-Men.
Or running through a forest. Or running through
so many forests. Logan innocent. Logan ends in a forest, and it's the only one where you're like, where the fuck was this movie the whole time? Logan is so good. it's crazy that it's attached to these other movies.
But I definitely do think that like I think the X-Men franchise as a whole, I am sad that it doesn't get to like kind of redeem itself after Apocalypse. And you know, send us off. I honestly was just kind of hoping he was going to send the reshoots. I thought he was going to send it off with like a good goodbye, or like some form of like, you know, some nice like feeling at the end of going like, well, that was a good series, like that was nice, or anything like that. And it just kind of it just fell flat. Unfortunately, this just kind of fell flat.
Just ends.
Yeah, and it's
they so clearly wanted this to be their end game. A movie I am also not a fan of, but like, you know, at least I have like moments in that movie. And this one, I'm like, well, that's an interesting idea. Too bad nothing happened like at all.
Yeah.
You know what? But the ending, I will say it's fine. I could imagine someone making that much more interesting. That was not this creative team, because at the end of the day, this is like it's been handed back to the same creative team that started it and messed it up in the first place. You know, like that, there was never going to be any real growth from that. There couldn't be. Regardless of my feelings about like the majority of these movies, even like, why there was no reason to expect anything different, and that's the biggest bummer of all.
You know why? Because it was ripped out of Vince Vaughn's hands. It should
Matthew Vaughn.
Not Vince
Vince
Vaughn.
Vaughn. Jeez.
Oh my god, not Vince Vaughn. Why the fuck did I say Vince Vaughn?
Matthew Vaughn.
Matthew Vaughn.
Matthew Vaughn. Matthew
It
Vaughn.
was pulled out of Matthew Vaughn's hands. I think if Matthew Vaughn would have been in charge of the X-Men series after First Class and everything else, I think you'd have a very different story. I think you would have a good story and everything else. Fucking Vince Vaughn.
It would have been better. I'm not so high on Matthew Vaughn after like Kingsman 2 because good lord, but First Class still generally holds up for me for what it's worth, and there's a lot of stuff I like and it's actively interesting in that movie still. But yeah, there's all these different directions the series could have gone. It's too bad that it never really lived up to its fullest potential. But there were some interesting outliers. Generally, people like the Deadpool movies. Logan, obviously the number one, I think, for a lot of people, rightfully so. I really like the Wolverine, actually. I like the Wolverine a lot.
Yeah, it's. I thought it was. Yeah, Wolverine is a pretty decent movie.
It is. It's a fun movie.
Yeah, I guess to start wrapping up, top 3 X-Men movies for everyone. Does everyone have a list, or should we hop around?
Yeah, sure. I would go.
Go
Logan, number 1. Probably X-Men First Class 2, and then, X-Men First Class second spot, and then Deadpool 2, number 3.
Okay, I did not expect Deadpool on there.
Yeah, well, Deadpool 2, I felt, is a very well-made movie. There's a lot of themes. You know, who would expect something so profound from Deadpool?
Yeah, did not expect that.
Nope.
Nick.
Yeah. It's yeah. I mean, I would definitely have to go with what was it? X-Men First Class is it's definitely got to be Logan, X-Men First Class, but I'm gonna go with X-Men 2 if we're just gonna stick to the X-Men, like the actual X-Men storyline and everything like that. I really do like X2. X2 it's an interesting storyline. I do like seeing the X-Men kind of on the run and like this like need to find sanctuary and this uncovering of basically problems and being able to solve them and everything like that.
Yeah,
I do like it. I think X2 is it's a damn good movie.
yeah.
It's kind of hard to find stuff that's kind of wrong with it. That's my big thing.
Well, we're at the end of the episode, so I don't have time to get into all that. But, no, yeah, the originals don't do much for me. So like when people say like The Last Stand is the worst, I'm like, well, it's about as good as the other two in my opinion. But like I recognize I'm in the vast minority. So for me, it's boring. But yeah, Logan, fucking, where did that movie come from? Even James Mangold's other movies aren't as good as that one, which is like shocking. First Class and the Wolverine. I really like the last 2 Logan movies quite a bit, and First Class gave the series like a shot of adrenaline to the heart when it needed it the most. So that was like baffling that they just didn't follow up on that in any way. But
yeah,
it is what it is. Nick, your point about the X-Men going to TV, I really agree with. I don't know if they would allow that to happen because I think they know that these movies can be money makers when they're good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's unfortunate because I do think if you made what was it, like you don't even need to make it like have all of these other things. You can just follow a couple of ever seen what is it? God damn it. It's a new show on the Sci-Fi Network. It's all about like kids that are inside of like a
Deadly Class.
Yes, Deadly Class. I could not remember it. You could make it kind of like that, where it's where you're following a group of teenagers and they're all in the Charles Xavier's like school and stuff like that. And you follow them. You don't have to follow like Mystique. You don't have to follow any of them. You can just follow random teenagers and just kind of deal with their problems.
Yeah, it's totally be an ensemble thing. It should never. Like, you could have the ensemble revolve around one particular narrative and one person's narrative, but it needs to explore like multiple people at the same time, which is also why like
not just
regardless
Wolverine.
of not just Wolverine, not just like any one person in particular, except like maybe Magneto and Xavier.
Yeah.
But like this is why I also don't envy people having to reboot this as a movie. Is that you basically have to make an Avengers level movie.
Yeah.
You have to tie in like multiple characters, multiple narratives, and without the benefit of having them pre-established beforehand.
Exactly, and that's
It's
why
a lot to do.
And that's why that's why I say a TV show does so much to doing that, because you could spend an entire episode, an entire hour, just diving into a character and finding out what their motivation is, who they are, everything like that, and then you can move on. You have all of this, and you can move on into the next set piece, or into their next adventure.
Yeah, it's just the answer's like right there, and just people won't do it because of money, I guess. But yeah, that's totally the way to go, and I hope people do it, even though it is clearly difficult to do superhero television right all the time. Except unless you're Legends of Tomorrow, which is a perfect television show.
Legends of Tomorrow is the DC's universe too. Why not?
Yeah, Legends of Tomorrow is so good. It is so wonderful and delightful and remarkably well written. It's a goofy ass show. Here, this is how we're gonna end on a positive by talking about Legends of Tomorrow.
All right.
Nick, you saw it?
It's an ensemble television show that the X-Men series should follow in suit with, but the latest season of Legends of Tomorrow is fucking amazing. I love it. What was it? The idea of dealing with magical creatures and making a theme park out of them.
It's such a beautiful series about fighting against apathy with nothing but empathy and love and care and devotion to your fellow people.
And everybody's a loser.
That's the best X-Men story.
Everybody's
like
a
the
loser.
last season of Legends.
Yeah, like we're all losers. I don't know why any of us think that we're cooler than we actually are. We're all losers.
Also, they fight a carnivorous unicorn that wants to eat people's hearts, and that's only the season premiere. So you should all watch it.
Wasn't that a dope episode where everybody's it's a unicorn. It's just stabbing people with its horn.
Oh yeah, no, it's amazing. This show should be making like
it bit off
all the viewers trend.
It bit off a dude's nipple.
yeah, no, it's the best.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Go watch Legends. I actually really enjoy. I liked their throwback because they couldn't get the shows to connect for the crossover.
Oh yeah, because they didn't want to like exhaust everyone in their crew again.
Yeah, they didn't want to do that again. But it was really funny that they made a joke because they needed those heroes in the final episode, and they were just like, "Wow, we should have really done the crossover." And
yeah, that was cute.
I like having like these specific things, and I like the fact that it's very tongue in cheek. It's very fun. Go watch
On that note, this is a random question. As a movie, who would you like to see direct the X-Men reboot, and then plugs as we go around? If you guys need a minute, I could just toss out a name.
Okay.
Who do you think?
This person will never do it, but Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
I think Sam Raimi needs his comeback as a filmmaker because it should be illegal that we've gone 6 years without a Sam Raimi movie.
Yeah, and it was Oz, the Great and the Powerful, too.
Yeah, which does not hold up, let me tell you.
Yeah.
But I think he could do some interesting stuff with the action. I think he's a very empathetic filmmaker. His stories are very human, even when they're dealing with very odd, fantastical elements. That would be quite the get, in my opinion. Or a person of color would probably be important behind the camera on this for once too. Like, not only because we need more of them, but like the X-Men are specifically like, not a very subtle metaphor for that.
I would go with David Sandberg from the Shazam movie.
No, he has to make the Shazam trilogy, Gene.
Oh, okay.
Gene, kids grow so fast. He has to stay on that for the next 3 years, you
He doesn't have
motherfucker.
any time, dude. He has no time.
They need to start filming like back to back. That's all. This is it, man. That's it. No Justice League for these kids.
Either that or what was it? Every Shazam movie, the kid's gonna change.
Oh no. Well, apart from Billy Batson, the kid's good. It's just like he was the weak part of that movie, which is very good. A very good movie. I don't know if I ever talked about it on here, but I liked it a lot.
Probably. Yeah, I don't, because you barely saw it.
Yeah, I know. Like go to discount theater.
Took you a while.
But I loved it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he would be good if he wasn't doing Shazam, is what I'll say to that. Nick, anyone?
Easy. Because I'm gonna stick with. I want them to do a TV show, and I want Dave Filoni to do it.
The movie?
No, I want him to do a TV show.
Oh, well, he's gonna be in Star Wars land until the day he dies, I think.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that for him.
Yeah, man, Dave Filoni doing which one? If they give him the X-Men before giving him Star Wars, come on, do it.
God, yeah, he would probably. I think he could do it.
I know he could do it. It would be amazing if he were to make what was it, to have Dave Filoni do a show, be the showrunner on a Star Wars TV show. The show would be bomb as hell. You'd have great episodes.
It would be something. I don't know. I need to see what he does with the Mandalorian first.
Come on, you could have the Toad. You could have an entire episode about Toad. It's gonna be like the Jar Jar.
I don't know if I need that in my life.
You didn't know you needed the Jar Jar episode, but you have it.
There are 2 Jar Jar episodes, and I like the one with Mace Windu a lot because that's the greatest team up ever. All right, that's it for the show. Goodbye, everyone. Nick, plugs.
Once again, you can go find me and Gene at Serving Up Some Comics. The episode should be coming up pretty soon. Follow us and hit that bell for notifications as soon as it comes on, so that way you guys can be notified of new episodes.
Gene.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Gene9892, and look for any cool updates on my movie.
And of course, you can find me on Twitter at the Diego Crespo. Check out the rest of the Waffle Press retrospectives, other Hangout episodes. May 2019, if you're interested in what came out that month, that was a really fun episode too. Check out other things down below: Spotify, YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes. Even though they're getting rid of that, but I guess the links will be the same. I don't know. I don't know Apple.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Hope you liked this episode, because if you didn't like this, you got to like and subscribe anyway so you can find something that you do like. We have been professionally unprofessional.